Albert Einstein once said his greatest discoveries never came to him in words. They came to him as images, sensations, and feelings, which he only translated into language afterward, as an afterthought. If the theory of relativity didn't start with words, what did it start with? The answer changes how you should think about thinking itself. Because for centuries, we've treated language as the tool of intelligence. Smarter people, we assumed, must think in clearer sentences, sharper arguments, better words. But history's most transformative minds suggest something almost the opposite. Language wasn't their engine. It was their translator, arriving after the real thinking was already done. Today, I'll show you why visual thinking built some of history's greatest breakthroughs, what neuroscience says is actually happening in a mind like that, and how you can train a skill most people never even know exists. Part 1. Thinking without words. Einstein called his process combinatory play. He described imagining himself riding alongside a beam of light, watching how the universe would look from that position, not calculating equations first. Watching, feeling motion, feeling space bend, feeling time behave strangely. The math came later, as a description of what he'd already seen. He once wrote that words, whether spoken or written, did not seem to play any role in his mechanism of thought. Nikola Tesla took this even further. He claimed he could construct an entire machine in his mind, run it mentally for weeks, and identify where on specific parts before ever building a physical prototype. Whether every detail of that claim holds up, the pattern is consistent across dozens of history's inventors and physicists. The image came first. The explanation came second. Part 2. Why this isn't mystical, it's architectural. Neuroscientists distinguish between two rough modes of internal thought. Verbal thought, an inner monologue built from language, and visual-spatial thought, images, models, and simulations that don't rely on words at all. Both exist in every human brain. But most people default heavily toward verbal thought because school, work, and daily life reward language. You're taught to explain yourself in sentences from the moment you can talk. Visual-spatial thinking gets far less deliberate training, even though it activates rich, different neural networks tied to spatial reasoning and the brain's visual cortex. Here's the key insight. Visual thought can hold entire systems at once. Multiple moving parts, relationships, and dynamics simultaneously, the way you can glance at a room and instantly understand where everything is. Verbal thought is linear. One word, then the next, forced into a single file line. If a problem has many interacting parts, and most real problems do, verbal thinking has to describe them one at a time, which is slow and lossy. Visual thinking can simply hold the whole system in view. Part 3. Why words can actually get in your way. This sounds backwards, but there's real evidence for it. Psychologists have documented something called verbal overshadowing. In certain studies, people asked to describe a face they'd just seen and words performed worse at recognizing that face afterward than people who didn't describe it at all. The act of forcing an image into language degraded the image itself. Language is precise for some things and genuinely lossy for others, especially anything spatial, relational, or dynamic. When Einstein avoided starting with words, he wasn't being poetic. He may have been protecting the fidelity of the thought itself. Part 4. Training visual thought deliberately. This isn't a fixed trait you either have or don't. It's a skill that atrophies without use and strengthens with practice. Richard Feynman used something close to this constantly. He would picture physical systems directly, atoms bouncing, forces pushing, and only afterward reach for the mathematics to formalize what he'd already visualized. Practical technique. Before writing or explaining a concept, close your eyes and try to build it. Not describe it. Build it. See the parts moving. Watch how they interact. Only then put it into words. Another technique. When you're stuck on a problem, stop trying to explain it to yourself in sentences. Ask instead, what would this look like if I could see it? What is actually moving here? This single shift, from describing to visualizing, is trainable within weeks according to research on spatial reasoning and mental rotation. Here's the truth. Genius was never really about having better words. It was about accessing a mode of thought most people were never taught to use, then translating it into language only when it was time to share it with others. You don't need Einstein's brain to use his method. You need to stop assuming your inner monologue is the only tool you have. The next time you're stuck on a problem, Try closing your eyes before opening your mouth. Watch it first. Explain it second. If this changed how you think about thinking, share it with someone who's always explaining things out loud before they've actually pictured them. And subscribe for more science-based thinking, learning, and mental growth.